Have you ever thought, what is my home worth?
Moving forward with the DekkerTeam. Moving forward together with the DekkerTeam.
Welcome to the Inside Track. I'm Yetta Dekker, and I am with an extra special guest today.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome, Christine Parkinson. And the reason she's here is because she asked me a question. And all the Inside Tracks have been designed really to welcome you into the information that we all need, we all deserve, so we can live the best life possible in the home that we're in or the home that we want to move to. So, Christine, you asked me a question.
I did.
What's my home worth?
Mm-hmm.
And the first question I would have answered with was, why?
Well, a couple of things happened. We have begun the process of planning for our retirement, and our financial planner asked us, amongst all your assets, you of course have your principal residence. What is it worth? I don't know. I know what we built it for several years ago.
Several,
16 years ago, but I don't know what it's worth now in today's market. Also, we just went through a major house fire back at the end of 2018.
And so sorry for that.
Thank you. It's all in the Lord's will, though. I mean, he's really been blessing us through it.
And hard, though.
Oh, it has been difficult. I won't cover up the fact that it's been really difficult on our family. But our bank, who has a small stake in our home, they wanted to ensure that the bank understood the value of our home. They hired a bank appraiser to make sure that the restoration company was receiving their payments for work actually accomplished. I asked the bank, could I please see the appraisal? They said, we do not share that with clients. We cannot release that to you. So I was stuck wondering, what is our home worth? And I went looking on the internet, like a lot of people probably would.
Yeah, and that's a great thing you bring up, Christine. Like, I wonder, as you're watching this show or listening, if you're thinking, like, how do I get a value and why do I want a specific value? So in this case, it really was for you just for planning purposes.
Totally.
It wasn't because you were thinking of selling.
No.
It wasn't because you were thinking of moving. It wasn't even because you were thinking of doing major renovations, because they were kind of already handled.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
And that's the blessing, I guess, that things, instead of being 15 years old, are now
brand new, 2019.
2019. So that's nice. And yet that totally changes the value, doesn't it? A 16-year-old house is worth very much a different amount of money, even if it's been maintained and taken care of. Mm-hmm. A home is worth, short of appreciation, short of inflation, really worth the most the day it's built.
Like a new car.
Kind of like a new car, right? Because just like a new car, they depreciate. Mm-hmm. But how much do you depreciate every year?
That's what I'd like to know.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to chat about. Mm-hmm. And so that's really what you were thinking. And it's common that financial institutions will only release the information for the appraisal to the person that paid for it.
Got it. Like the bank.
Like the bank. The bank, if you had hired the appraiser, then clearly you could have the value or get the information and have a full report. Mm-hmm. But because it was done on behalf of the bank, they really are not meant to give it to you. Because and two, the other challenge around arriving at a value is there's the reason for the appraisal, the reason for the value actually will have it arrive at a different value. So if you're thinking of resale value, then that's clearly where a realtor comes in. If you're thinking of lending value may not be the same as real estate value, what you would get on an open market. Mm-hmm. In a distressed sale where there's undue pressure, it may sell for less. Mm-hmm. So there's a different value there. The tax department is going to use the MPAC assessment, yes, which may or may not equate to the resale value.
I wondered that too. Thank you for answering that.
It may and it may not, because it depends on, have they had a visual inspection of your home anytime recently? Have they updated the data accurately based on the sales in the community? Does your home match what's in the community? Because that has an impact on how MPAC perceives them. Right? Like my daughter's home just recently had a call from MPAC saying that they were going to reassess. Have they made any other improvements? What have they done? And they took out a permit for a pool they put in, and they can, of course, see it on Google Maps that there's now a pool there. So she said, well, is that going to increase the value? Because from resale, it doesn't necessarily. A pool may or it may not, depending on where it is and what's going on in the community. It often doesn't have much of an increase in value. And they said, oh, but people behind you have built. And those are large, expensive homes. So that's now going to affect your MPAC assessment.
I see.
Even though their home is 20 years old.
And hasn't really changed.
And hasn't really changed. If anything, it's become less valuable, except inflation obviously increases it. But if you put the identical house on that lot now that was built in 2019 instead of 2002, I guess it's 17 years, that would be the one built today would be worth more money, right?
Yep.
Would appraise higher, would sell higher, would be financed higher, would be everything higher.
That's intuitive.
Right. So a home really does depreciate. And that kind of, I think, isn't intuitive for most people and wasn't for me before I was a realtor. And that's because, well, the value of the house keeps going up. But that's land value increase, that's appreciation in the market, not specifically appreciation on the actual house.
I see.
That's really depreciating.
That helps. Thank you.
You're welcome. So determining what you want the value for helps figure out how to get the value.
All right.
So you started with searching where?
I'm ashamed to say.
No. But first it was on MLS, so you shouldn't be ashamed of that. That's perfect.
Yeah,
Your first approach was fantastic.
I started looking on MLS, other bedroom size houses, bathroom sized houses, those kinds of things on a rural property. What would they be going for? And I never really did come up with an accurate answer. I felt stymied by what I was seeing. I didn't know if it was an accurate reflection comparing our home to somebody else's.
Right. And there is this language out there of comparative market analysis, CMA. You can call and get a free CMA, comparative market analysis. The challenge with it is exactly what you discovered. Were these homes really comparable to mine? So what we tend to be looking at on the Decker team is relevant property data. What's relevant data? It may not be comparable, and yet similar sized land, taking into consideration the aspects of the home that really are counter to what may be in another home, but it's relevant. May not be comparable, but it's relevant data. And then the challenge on the MLS, I think you mentioned to me, is that you're looking at asking prices. You're not looking at selling prices. So what did they actually sell for? So we actually utilize the sold data very extensively and put very little weight on the asking price data.
Isn't that interesting?
Because it didn't sell. So how does that help us arrive at market value? So unique challenges were simply you couldn't get access to the value really online doing your own search. So what I'm going to suggest for you and for anybody that's watching is that if you're looking for the data, you want to call somebody, either an appraiser, but I know you didn't want to pay for an appraisal. So really calling somebody that you can trust to give you the goods on the value, be able to give you access to the sold prices. So we're grateful to be your partners in building wealth together through real estate.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.